1, 2, 3. This day began a long time ago, and we are finally here.
In the course of preparing for the move to the new center, I've been going through a lot of our old memorabilia. And one of the original documents is called our project report. This is a report that Kari and I drafted, really our first proposal, our kind of manifesto to the world of what we wanted to accomplish. We had a list of about 10 different objectives, and one of them was to actually build a community center, to have a space where we could operate, where we could run all of our youth programming, where we could offer space to community organizations, we could provide a wide variety of services. And so from the beginning, we knew this was a vision that we wanted to implement.
The Brotherhood Sister Soul moved to this block on 143rd Street in 1999. By 2007, we had really started to utilize every corner of the space. We needed more space, and we bought the lot adjacent to the brownstone at that point. And it took several years to kind of dig out of the financial crisis. And then in 2012, we began to start thinking more forward about what a new center could look like, did architectural schematics, began to look for funding. And that was really the beginning 10 years ago to where we sit today.
One of the beautiful things that I've seen throughout this process is that there have been many elected officials who have really bought into the vision of the Brotherhood Sister Soul and stood by us and fought for us to expand the opportunities we have to grow this building.
We had to push through the New York City Council, the New York State Assembly, the New York State Senate, District Attorney's Office, Manhattan Borough President's Office, funding for this building because we didn't have the capacity to build it, quite honestly, without government support, especially then Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer, now Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine.
Building a building in Manhattan is the peacetime equivalent of waging a war. There were obstacles at every turn. And I think that a team of lesser caliber would have given up at many different points along the way. But Kari was just absolutely determined to not take no for an answer. There were so many opportunities to give up, and Kari and the team never did. And it's why now we can celebrate this. BroSis has attracted a whole constellation of admirers and supporters, and I think every one of us has been mobilized during the last 7 years. But also, don't underestimate how much support there is out here in the community on 143rd Street, here in West Harlem, uptown. People who rallied behind this project to help it get approval, to help it win political support. There are probably hundreds of people who in effect own a piece of this building because of what they've done.
My involvement in terms of funding the building, as the Manhattan Borough President, we were able to allocate capital funding to the building. We also helped Community Board 9, had to review, as they should, when there were stumbling, challenging issues with city agencies. We tried to talk to the city agency to say, this is a great program, but it has definitely been the leadership of this amazing organization that has stayed on top of it. This building would not have been built without that leadership.
From the very beginning of working with our architects, we challenged them to design a building that was about the enlightenment of children. Architecture speaks volumes about what happens within an institution. What does it mean to create a building that's about the enlightenment of young people, that's forward thinking about engaging young people in spaces?
It's very easy to see how kids in the city who perhaps are not valued by our society are influenced by their environment. So our goal was to create an environment where they feel good about themselves in a positive and a safe place for them to come and expand their horizons.
What we really wanted to do is bring in a sense of Pan-Africanism through architecture within this particular building. So essentially the facade, it really represents almost a hand half folded or like a shield, so like something that really represents community and protecting the inhabitants of the space inside.
The main inspiration was to try to encapsulate the energy that one feels when they're walking through Harlem. I wanted the colors of this building to be vibrant and lively. I wanted for the young people that will be here most of their days to feel uplifted. For example, in the light room, I heard conversations about, floor to ceiling glass, and I just thought, well, I want this beautiful blue color in this room, so when the sunlight comes in, it'll really lighten up their space and just pick up their spirits. So each room, each floor has its own feature color that was intentional.
The front of the building has two types of glass that are a part of it. There is the opaque glass that allows light in, but also privacy and protects as young people create and build. And then there's a part of the glass that you can see through. The community should be able to see within. It is their building. And so it's a mixture of glass that both protects and glass that opens up to the community.
All of those windows can be opened up and fresh air can come in, but it also creates this feeling of just an open space on every floor.
Our original home was a brownstone built in 1903. It was our home for 18 years. And when we demolished that building, we kept over 2,000 bricks and the terracotta from the old building, so that in our new building, at every single floor, you're confronted with the history of the institution. It brings a spiritual, historic element into the space as well, a sense of ownership, a connection to historic Harlem.
We were originally at 4,000 square feet at our brownstone. We're currently at 22,000 square feet here in our new Brosis Center, which doesn't include our 6,000 square foot cornerstone space as well. So this space enables us to really expand the services that we're providing. We now have our College Career and Wellness Center on the corner. We're able to have an expanded middle school program here to expand the services we're providing young people in terms of health and wellness and food and all of the different programming that we're going to be providing throughout the entire building. So it's increased the number of youth that we can serve, as well as the impact that we'll have on this community in general.
We have a staff floor, a beautiful space, which I think our staff deserves, where organizers and educators and activists can work every single day in a space that also says that they matter, that they are important, that they can meet and build together. We have a large open floor on the 5th floor that allows for our 8 to 12-year-old population every single day to learn and to develop, but also where we can train people. We've trained over 3,000 educators across the country and had training in other countries, and now we'll have that space where educators can come and be trained.
Currently, over 50% of our staff are alumni of the organization. So these are young folks who came up through our programming, went off at times and got their education, came back, and are now serving the youth and paying it forward, serving our organization in various capacities, helping to manage this organization as a whole. And it's interesting that we are now coming upon, almost 30 years in, a second generation of young people who are now coming up, whose parents were involved in our programming. And so we can already see the generational return that is the legacy of Brosis in that way as well.
We can expand our work because we can invite more young people to join the efforts that we do. With the increase in square footage, clearly, we can increase our programming.
It's just really cool to see families grow and to continue to grow in this space where it is some sort of nurturing happening, that you could see the nurturing happening, you could see the effects of the nurturing happening, and have them live out their dreams the same way that we are, being their facilitators. It's cool that we could plant the seeds here and they could just grow wild wherever the world takes them.
I'm just really blown away by this building. I remember doing the first tour, actually seeing it and walking up the steps, looking out the windows and going a little higher and higher to each floor, and you see more and more of Harlem. It's just really breathless to me. It's like there aren't really any words to really describe what it feels to be in this building. Just have a lot of work to do and a lot of love to continue on, and this is the place for that to happen.
In a city that is grounded in gentrification and displacement, to own this land, to build buildings on our land, and to make sure that we are a mainstay in the Harlem community, and to be an organization led by Black and Latinx folks, for Black and Latinx folks. I believe that this building means that we're gonna be here and we're gonna stay here in ways that ensure that our community stays here too, and that our community gets what they need.
This building means value. It shows that we're worth something. We're worth beauty. We're worth the highest quality of materials, the highest quality of programming, the highest quality of life, just because we're human, not because, and that should be for everybody, right? But for it to be like really dedicated and comes from Black and Latinx people, just speaks so much value creating beauty for people of color, people in poverty. We're worth something. And this is what this building says. And this like kind of stands like a beacon.
The fact that it is here directly across the street from where I grew up is finally a yes for us. That we don't have to be on the corner, that we don't have to play in glass, that, you know, we don't have to be in danger. It allows us to just be. And if there is 143rd streets all over the 5 boroughs, that you do deserve to have a place, if it's not your own home, to have a home to really grow healthily, to leave a legacy of healthy beings after you. So this building to me means yes, absolutely yes, with an exclamation point.
The creation of this building has taken 10 years. And now we are in the building. We would not be here without the incredible circle of supporters that we have. But the next step is to really support and underwrite the work that we do here, the programmatic work every single day. The institution needs that support. Our young people need that support. We can't have a building that doesn't have the resources it needs to do all the organizing work, educating work, and training work that we need to do. And so that's the next step for the Brotherhood Sister Soul.
Our space here is the model. This is the standard that we set, the example. And I've been blessed in part of my work of training folks around the country on how to do this work. And what we have seen is that throughout the nation, throughout the world, this kind of programming that supports the critical thinking, that supports the development of leadership skills is necessary and needed throughout the entire globe.